Tyler, how are you, man?
Fantastic. How are you, RD?
Doing well. I'm glad we got to do this. We said it on That's Nifty and Origin Stories when we crossed over last. We said we would be back. I said I would gladly come back to talk about some stuff related to the impending project, which of course is the Artifex project. And I think here we are and we have a lot to talk about.
We sure do. You guys are just coming back from New York City. You know, the huge blast of having all the artists up in Times Square and Union Square and under the bridge as well. And I mean, the stuff we saw on Twitter was amazing. I'm envious of the people that got to see that in person.
I have to say, the in real life thing, it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing. I figured, you know, I knew it would be powerful, right? But a lot of people would, of course, it's going to be powerful. It's going to be something. It's in bright lights. I think that's amazing in its own right. It was different. It was different than even I expected. And a lot of us talked about it. And I think it's a hint of what's to come in the summertime. You know, a lot of these events are going to get up and running and churning, and it's going to be even bigger and even more massive with a lot of things. There's events down in Miami. There's going to be New York in October, right? The NYC NFT. As these events start happening, it's going to be massive. But what we felt on the ground in New York was special. It was special. Matt Medved Parrot flew in for this, which was incredible.
Saw that. Yeah.
That was such a nice thing that came together last minute. That man is a legend. Current 4D, Gavin Shapiro came out. Sergio came out. Brian Brinkman came out. There were, of course, Dave Krugman was on the ground. I mean, I'm trying to get everyone, and it's so easy to lose it. But the power of just having, like, we had 15 people standing on the corner. My wife and daughter Flora were there. Oh, do we have company?
Possibly. One moment.
False alarm.
False alarm. Just saw another dog, most likely.
It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, you know, we had 15 plus people standing on that corner in Times Square when these billboards first fired up, and that was pretty cool.
And then you guys had a scavenger hunt. You had a giveaway on Twitter. I saw that you guys picked a winner this morning. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So they get an artist edition, right? What
right.
is that exactly?
Yeah, let's pull the wrapping paper back on that one. So what we're going to do is we have 10 artist editions to give away. And so there are 10 artists that are part of the first wave of this project, the first theme of this project, which is family, community, collaboration. It's the crew that was announced on Wednesday of this past week. That's the first theme, right? Yeah. And so we have an edition of an Artifex of each of those artists that are part of this giveaway. And we have run now technically 3 giveaways, because actually the scavenger hunt had a bit of a mini controversy where we had missed the true winner who had pulled things together and then gave it away to who we thought was the winner. But then it was very quickly figured out, no, this was the real winner. And we said, you know what, you're both getting editions. So it was an early opportunity to beat the drum of something like I'm saying here, you know, we're not going to get everything right, but we're real and we're going to stand behind this thing and just keep taking positive steps forward. That is the game plan.
Awesome. And it's crazy, the list of artists that came out in the first wave. I mean, what an influential group of people right there. And it was great to see, you know, their names up in the bright lights. I saw all of their feedback on Twitter too. And, you know, I'm sure that gives them a lot of great feelings inside to know that they're part of a project that is, you know, putting their stamp on this timeline, on this generation of artists, and being a part of that must give them great emotion.
I hope. I always say it's us, you know, it's like, I got a lot of personal love and I appreciate every bit of it, but like, this has nothing to do with me. Well, okay, it has something to do with me, but not like that. Like the Artifex project, you know, I very soon want that to cross over my own social cloud or standing in this industry. I want it to cross it and smash it and be brilliant in its artist first. And sure, I'm a part of that. And sure, I'm a part of that vision, but it's an artist first project. It's flipping the script. That was my favorite thing about New York City. The way I'm thinking about it, at least.
Yeah.
Most, not all. And again, we're not the first step, right? We are a step, and we want it to be a big step forward for digital art in general. But when you think about New York, walking the streets of New York, looking around, most times it's brand first, right?
No
Art,
artist recognition.
right?
Yeah.
Art, but it's brand first art.
Yeah.
And this goes into my whole thing. There's a hidden value transaction. Digital art's been around for a long time. Digital art has lit up our world for a long time. The artists have lit up our world for a long time, but it's been a lot of brand first love. Either they're being hired, they're being contracted, they're being paid on commission, whatever it is. But you're not getting that feel. And we've started to see some of that trickle out. There are a few artists who you know, would get a billboard here or some love there. And believe me, I'm all for it. We wanted to just like smash it, you know?
Yeah.
Let's get everybody up there. Let's do bold social credits, you know? So it's like, this is Fuck Render's art, right? This is Euphoria's art. This is Jason, and on down the line. And that was really, really important and really, really fun. It was fun to see that. It was fun to see people's reactions on the streets even, you know, as to what is this thing? What's going on? Engaged in some random conversations on the streets of New York, heard some audible gasps on the streets of New York. that was fun. So yeah, the rundown. So we had 3 Times Square billboards at 44th, 45th, and 48th, including the big Viacom billboards, which is amazing. We had the Brooklyn Bridge, which was a projection. Those are some of my favorite pictures coming out of this.
Oh, amazing.
It's just, that blew my mind. That was the one location I did not personally make it to. So it was a bit of a surprise to see those shots come out. I mean, I'd seen it. I knew where it was going. I knew what it would look like, but not with the projector, with more of like a place marker and some game planning there. Yeah. But man, seeing the projection and the lights beaming in of the digital art was incredible.
Who took those shots?
So we're working with the Animus Group. So all the love to the Animus Group. And it is I have to get his exact handle. I'm going to get his exact handle. Keep going. I'm pulling it up.
Yeah.
It starts with ill. It starts with ill, and I got to get it right. So
gotta get the right ill on.
Got to get it right. He was great. He was crushing. He was taking photographs, doing his thing, and then basically stayed up all night. Like just based ill concept with a K. That's I had to get that right. So it's ILLKONCEPT on Twitter. Ill concept. Beast. Just was doing his work all night long. Turned around the folder of, you know, distilled 4,000 plus photos into 600 overnight.
Wow.
And that's what you're seeing shared out. So all the love to Ill Concept. Just exceptional stuff.
I'm sure none of you guys had any sleep, huh? You just got back from New York City, right?
Yeah. Said farewell to Parrot. So Parrotism flew in. We recorded a quick snippet video on the way out this morning, 7 a.m. on the streets of New York, you know, coffee in hand. And we said farewells and here we go back to it. Oh,
man. So what's next for the Artifex project? I mean, we're going to start seeing these roll out, I would assume, shortly.
Yep. Yeah, this is a big week. Let's start with the details. Yep. So the mission is digital art first, right? Digital art is the future is the first line of that video. And really, it's been the past for a little while now. You know my thing. It's flipping it around. It's showing who are these artists who have been doing it and who are doing it within the NFT space and building up. I know it's becoming a little cliche, but the Renaissance is real. It's a new marketplace, right? It's a new marketplace. It's a new form of transaction that's blowing the doors open and putting the artist first, allowing the artist to step forward and have a place for connection. To you, to me, to everybody, right? Having a place to step forward and have that connection. So that is the grand story that we are telling here. We're telling it on behalf of 100 artists. So honoring 100 artists across a number of different themes, and the project will stop at 100, right? So there has to be a limit somewhere, and that's going to be our contribution to this whole narrative, the whole narrative of digital art and NFTs. New York was the nice stop on that list, but let's expand the conversation. This community is wonderful. And there's a lot of noise coming into it. What if we took some very positive and clear noise from it and went outside of it? That is one of the things we're exploring.
Wow.
Let's get out there. Let's tell this story. Let's put the artist first. Let's put the art first. Let's put it up in some places that maybe we wouldn't expect. Let's see what comes of that from, who knows, the news perspective and on down the line. I am very curious as this thing rolls along to have these dialogues, have these conversations, to get out there and educate on behalf of the art and the artist in this wonderful NFT space.
It's a good point, because there's going to be a group of people that understand from the get-go, oh yeah, like this theme, for example, these people are the family, people that were here early on. And then there'll be an education piece for the people that just don't understand that yet. And that's kind of what Artifex is there to do, is say, hey, these are the landmark artists, 100 that were handpicked, and curated over time, to say these people have a story to tell, but they're also part of a larger story of this Renaissance. So I'm curious to see how you guys are going to do the education portion of this and the outreach and getting that out to the mainstream media.
New York's the beginning. New York's the beginning of that. It's expanding the dialogue, taking it to those places, opening some eyes, and we've had some interests. What is this? What's going on? Let's.
That's what New York City was for. I mean, had to drum up some interest. I mean, The intrigue surrounding all of it, and including a scavenger hunt, I think that was a nice touch as well.
Mm-hmm. It's just fun. I mean, that's, this community is special. This community of collectors, on down the line, right? Collectors, investors, artists, builders, on down the line, this community is special. And so goal is, let's expand the dialogue without it. Let's take the special fabric, of this community, the substance of this community, the foundation of this community. Let's hit the road. Let's go. Let's get out there. But let's also foster the community, and let's also do things within the community. And so you're going to see that. You see that with some of the giveaways we're doing. We're going to do that a number of different times with a number of different themes to include a number of different people. And it's the same thing on the artist side. 100 artists is a constraint. And I know that, how are they selected? How I get those questions. It's the responsibility of a lifetime. And what I can tell you is that there's co-curation going on with a lot of different artists. There's conversations going on with a lot of different artists. It's taking the responsibility, but it's constant education, even internally, to do the appropriate reach outs, include the appropriate artists. And it's acknowledging that because of the constraint of 100, you can never get it perfect, but we're going to try really hard to get it close. You're going to see different themes along the way. You're going to see conceptual themes. Like the family is a very, it's a broad theme. It can go a lot of different ways. It's about the love. It's about the unification of artists, a lot of whom came up together, some of whom moved together physically in the real world,
Yeah.
And then we move on past that. You're going to have some timestamp themes, that we're going to explore the past. We're going to explore the future. And then you'll have themes of specificity, entertainment arts, illustration, precision arts, clean loops, like architectural lines. We're going in a number of different directions. And by 100, we want to do our damnedest to capture this NFT space in the best way that we know how. It's not one person making the decisions, but I'm going to stand behind every single one of them. So at the end of the day, it's my responsibility, but I'm having a lot of dialogues to get this as right as possible.
Right. I think that's good for everyone to understand that, like, you're no gatekeeper and you're talking to everyone about, like, I'm sure that the conversations with artists goes, hey, we're thinking about these people. And they go, actually, if we don't have this person in here, like, they influenced me. Like, I think that person would be really important to have in this. And I think the artist's voice is just as good to help mold, like, who are the 100, because they would know, right? I mean, it's got to be a community project, basically, right? And you're just there to make sure all the pieces are lined up, but it's built by everyone.
That's right. And let this be that moment. And again, I'm happy for the love. I appreciate everyone who reached out, but let this be the moment. Let's start to flip that. Let's start to flip that conversation. Let's start to flip that conversation to both the artists who were involved, and let's flip to the team that's involved.
Right.
That's very important to me because, again, I'm not a gatekeeper. I don't want to be a gatekeeper. It's not my intent. And I get it. I'll be viewed as that in certain ways, and I can handle that, and we'll talk, and not everyone's going to love it, and that's okay. But let's give that appropriate shine around, because this is a massive thing. It's a massive thing. Right. It's a special thing.
Speaking of the team, I'm sure is this widely known that Rare Rooms is working with you guys now, right?
Yeah.
I love, they just released a new update there with expanded rooms and stuff. So I can't wait to see what they do with you guys' Artifex rooms.
It was fun. It was
Yeah.
fun. That was a true collaboration. You know, shout out to Rare Rooms. Shout out to John and Brian and on down the line over there doing great things, making art galleries, virtual art galleries accessible, right? Accessible to all, accessible on mobile, accessible on web, ultimately accessible on VR.
Free to use.
Free to, right? Free to use. And so we had an opportunity to go in and partner up on this. And our mission was to create a special room. And Dirk Vandermeer, Dirk at Work, right? Dirk at Work, huge part of this project, art director of the project. So you're going to see a lot of his work within the project. He's a true magician, and he did a lot of amazing work within the room of collaborating with those guys and really elevating it and figuring out how do we want this thing to look, what vibe do we want to give off, what's important within the room. On down the line, a lot of attention to detail there and a lot of love into that room. And we did announce this week, every collector of an artifact will receive that custom room for their artifacts and for other art as well, and for other 3D art as well.
3D art, huh?
Yeah. And that gets into what this is. Let's talk about it. What is the Artifex project? We talked about the 100. We talked about the grander mission, right? Let's do this. Let's fly the digital art flag within and without this space. But what's the project? Every artist in the project was asked to consider how they would represent themselves. How would you represent yourself in a piece of art? A metaphorical self-portrait. And so you see takes on self-portraits, you see characters, you see spirit animals, alter egos, literal animals, you see objects for object-oriented artists. Anything goes. It was complete creative freedom. And that was fascinating to see where artists went with that. It was truly fascinating, like one of the honors of a lifetime to see the reveals on the original artworks coming into the project. But then what's the next step? It's phases of creation. It's then that is an NFT. And that's, by the way, that's a one-of-one original artwork, right? A one-of-one that will live on a gallery wall. A collector will collect it, can live on a gallery wall. But then the wonderful Dirk at Work, taking those characters out of the 2D and building custom 3D virtual sculptures, which are the artifacts of that artwork. And these have plans, metaverse enabling, looking at history. How do we make as damn near close to permanent history as possible? We can do it one of two ways, right? We're looking at it from the smart contract side, taking provenance of the contracts, on-chain metadata. You can look at it from that perspective. That's the path that we're going down there. That's permanence in one regard, history in one regard. What about the other? Making these 3D virtual sculptures and enabling them to travel step by step by step over a long roadmap, not only the current metaverses, but future metaverses, leaving a roadmap in there to be able to go to those metaverses and make sure that these sculptures, on behalf of these historical artists, stay relevant and stay in the space no matter where the space goes.
Right. So writing the contracts in a way where they will be forwards compatible with wherever this ends up technology-wise in the future.
And just being able to enable the files again and again, enable the 3D files again and again to do what they need to do to be showcaseable, and just exploring different forms of value. You know, I believe value in this space. There are three of maybe many others, but there are three very clear value propositions of NFTs. And one is art. And let that be clear, because we talk a lot. The other two words, by the way, are utility and access, and they're getting a lot of buzz now, right? Utility and access. What is that? What is that? Utility, use cases. Can you travel with it? Can you use the NFT over here? Can you display it over there? Access to anything, events, human beings, time. Gary Vee just did a huge thing with access, beat the access drum, right? But let's not forget about art. Art is a value proposition. It always has been.
Right.
And digital art is valuable, right? That's the story here. Digital art is valuable. Digital art is art. And just because it was a hidden value transaction for a long time, it was the grand hidden value transaction behind Instagram. It's the grand hidden value transaction behind most of the websites that we interact with that are visuals first.
Advertisements.
Advertisements, exactly. Let's not lose sight of that. Art has been historically valuable. Not everyone appreciates art, but for those who appreciate art, digital art is art. Let's tell that story. There is value there. This project is exploring all three value propositions in tandem. And that fascinates me.
So with the artifacts themselves, the 3D sculptures, are those also one-of-one pieces that it will be for sale?
They are not. There's 100 editions.
100
Okay. Now 2/3 of the 100 will be sold in the primary market. So we are withholding 33 editions. Mm-hmm. And those 33 editions that are withheld are for project partners, the gifts that we're giving away, and then ultimately creating a project fund. You see like the CryptoPunks fund and the CryptoKitch fund and those kinds of things. We'll ultimately create a project fund. That's for the long game, right? That's the oxygenation of this project for the future. We have a roadmap here. We want to be historical here. And so the goal is, let's think that through. How does this project have future legs? And so you'll see that in the future. So what's going to primary market right now? What can everyone expect? 67 editions of Artifexes. They will be the same, but we're going to take the first edition and we're going to do something a little special with the first edition of the sculpture.
Yeah.
Then we're going to have the 66. Those will be same price. Let's go and going. And we're putting a lot of thought into primary and secondary market health. Yeah. Again, like Tyler, everyone has their moment, within a project, and you take your look around at the space, and there are a lot of lessons learned and a lot of things you see, and you might say, that's amazing. I would love to have a chance to do something similar. There are some things that you see that say, maybe I would have done that differently. Maybe I would have not made that decision or not done it that way. There's a lot of consideration here. There's a lot of consideration here. Yeah, constantly. And then of course, then a future project comes along and they get their best crack at it and the space evolves. But right here, right now, it's putting a lot of thought into that, putting a lot of thought into pricing. What does healthy pricing look like? Doing it the right way, primary and secondary market health,
So how did you guys forecast like this project so far in advance when, as you know, this space is moving so quickly? I'm sure you guys put a lot of thought into, like you said, long-term secondary health and trying to figure out like, where does this end up, 100 artifacts down the road?
Well, okay. So there's planning and there's agility.
Right.
That's, a long game project like this is a legacy project. And I'm very clear. It's whole heart, soul, and being behind it. We die or we make history. It's one of the two, and you just try to you live with that legacy mentality. Every decision gets made on behalf of the long game, of the legacy, of doing this the right way, of being relevant down the road. And so when it comes to the roadmap, it's saying, if we made decisions on behalf of concreteness, even 3 months from now, some could argue even 1 month from now, we'd be dumb. That's a dumb decision. You can do it, but you may have conflicting information. You may have something happen in industry. You may have, and it just kind of hits you in the face 3 weeks later. Whoa, this is different now. Yeah. We have to be ready to be agile, and we are. So no, the 90-second artist, which theoretically could be 5-6 months from now, right? The 90-second artist, no, we're agile there. We are agile there. This project is living, it's breathing, and we're prepared. We're prepared to keep walking this forward the right way and make those decisions as it's rolling along.
Good to hear.
I think the low key was executed perfectly because no one had any idea what you had in store. That was awesome.
That's, it exceeded, we talked about this a little bit, Tyler and I, but it exceeded expectations. I thought it would be impactful. Obviously we did it to be impactful. We did it to get the art out there and have a moment. And it went beyond that. The in real life special vibes exceeded expectations, and how that then translated back to digital with everybody interacting over what had happened in person, that exceeded expectations.
Yeah, I was just like, I think it's exciting to see how excited everyone who's involved gets, right? And you just like fanboying over like, holy shit, this is my work in Times Square. And it's because of you. And that's
we crossed that bridge. We had a turning point. I said, I love the love. I appreciate all the love, but let's talk about the team, and let's talk about the artist team, looking at that as a team as well. I mean, it's just so massive.
Yeah.
I want to start that appropriate deflection process right here, right now. But man, I will tell you, going to Times Square, I can't name everybody, right? There were a lot of artists, obviously, in the running clips, but one that comes to mind, right? Seeing Peter Moerbacher's Angel up there, seeing Justin Maller's Lion up there. This is
iconic.
Iconic. That's a great word. That's what it felt like. Standing under that billboard, you know, with pitch black and the dark background, where that figure pops. It just pops off that billboard. That's cool. I had another moment with the trucks. There were the trucks rolling around the city. So those trucks were cruising, and sometimes they would line up together. And the coolest thing was when they stopped and they lined up together, they played the music. They played the trailer music, and it was booming. It was booming. And so when people were, so in Union Square, the projector ended up having to move. They got in trouble for some reason. So the projector had to go shoot another wall, but the truck stayed lined up. And imagine that music booming, and people are having dinner across the street. People are walking by, and they're looking at the trucks. And I remember there was a group that pulled up, and they're gasping, taking their phones out, you know, shooting it and everything. And I remember there was a lady that was standing next to me, and MBSJQ's Astro popped up, you know, like kind of like plowing through the smoke, and you just hear, you heard this audible gasp. That was a cool moment. I sent him a message about that. I thought that was a special moment too.
That's awesome.
A lot of moments. Yeah. And then we had the controversy in Times Square.
Yeah. So what happened? I saw, couldn't put Fuckrinder's name, obviously. That makes sense. But Euphoria's art, I didn't think that was too controversial to show. I mean, there's no anatomy on there.
Bunch of prudes out there. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Big time prudes.
Big time. And Jason Abair, like that was actually the most surprising one to me, you know? And I said,
which picture was it? I don't think I saw Jason's.
Oh, well, geez, Tyler, you have a trailer to watch, my friend.
Well, I did see the trailer. There's so much.
I know there's a lot. There's so much. I know. It's cleavage is what it was.
Come on.
But I'm walking around Times Square, and you have swimwear models, and you know everything else that's way more revealing than that artwork. And someone made a decision, you know, threatened to pull everything, and we scrambled. And I joked, the first rule of Artifex: if we can't put your art on a Times Square billboard, we will put your social handle 37 separate times on a screen. and we'll run it that way.
Yep.
I was gonna ask, were you like specifically directed like these and these cannot be up?
Yes. Yeah. And it was, and at first there was a lot of pushback from our end. You know,
have to.
You know me. You know, I'm like, no. Like, no.
This is art.
We are rolling with everybody, and that was how the conversation started. And I thought that was actually going to end in a good place. And then all of them pushed back together, and that was the moment where it was like, all right, we're going to lose this whole thing, or pivot. And so I reached out to everybody, told them what was going on, and we did what we needed to do to retain the experience. But man, I'll tell you, if it was one thing, maybe even if it was two things, just forget it. Just take it down then. You know, we'll roll with everybody. But once it became the entire thing, the entire show, then we did what we needed to do. So that last day in New York was a huge, the last day before it happened, totally unexpected in the nature of what we were handling at the absolute last minute.
Now, that was just Times Square where they wouldn't allow it, right? It was still on the trucks, and it was still in Union Square.
Yes, exactly. So every artist, regardless, was on all three trucks, the Brooklyn Bridge, and Union Square.
The Brooklyn Bridge was sweet. That was such a good idea.
That was his favorite too.
Because it's just like, it almost felt like it was underground. It almost had like an underground feel, like you got to know where to find it.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the coolest aspect of it. It's so well executed, man. Even for like the last minute changes and stuff you probably had to deal with.
Jason, I'm looking at Jason's piece right now, and that's ridiculous.
Isn't it? I mean, well, first of all, it's a ridiculous piece of artwork. So shout out Jason Abair.
It's awesome.
That was a cool one. That was a cool reveal for me to see that. I was like, wow, you really knocked this out of the park. This is an incredible piece of art. And also that Jason Abair was on Origin Stories talking about, you know, the female figure and leading with the female figure, and then to see that come through as that representation, it was extra special to me seeing that based on the origin story conversation that we had before that. It clicked, it connected, it felt amazing and right. And yeah, so I don't know what those people were thinking in New York.
So like that day, what was it? Was it Wednesday? Where you did your first diary, your second diary in the morning?
Yeah.
How was that day? Because I'm assuming you were putting stuff in place, but kind of a culmination. A cumulation. So to get to the end of the day, right? Like I'm assuming it happened fast, but what did that day look like for you to get to the?
It flew. It flew. I didn't really have time. So I decided I would start talking more and more and more, bring those diaries forward. Now we can start talking about all these specific aspects of the project. We're just breaking news constantly. And so that was the moment to stand there in Times Square, and say the piece. But then the rest of the day is just constant go, 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 go. Just nonstop. It's interacting. It's a lot of people want to know things, and we're releasing what we have to release and what we want to release. Yes, we've been mysterious at times. I know, probably frustrating at times. I get it. But now all the wrapping paper's off, and now we're here talking about it, and that feels good and that feels right. And so we talked about the original artwork. We talked about the concept. We talked about the editions, what we can expect there, right? 67 editions going to the primary market. Each edition, the metaverse roadmap, with that, we're paying a lot of attention to that, where we want the project to go. It's one of the aspects of history and permanence that we are exploring strongly, and we'll continue to walk that path forward. And then the rare rooms we talked about as well. So every collector of an Artifex has a custom room coming to them. That custom room has a display for their artifacts, and has a display for other artworks of theirs, and has a display for other 3D artworks of theirs. So we love the room. We love the room. We love rare rooms.
They must be pumped, right? Like the rare room guys. Like
good partnership.
Like
yeah, we're pumped together. We're pumped together. It was the right fit. It just was the right fit. It felt right. It allows a lot of things. It's just a nice way to look at the art. Apart from the NFT, the 3D NFT is tricky, because you display, when you purchase an NFT, you display a 3D NFT usually in a 2D format. You get a little rotation going on. You show people, hey, here's what it is, but it's hard to totally appreciate. Now all of a sudden you get a custom rare room. You can look at it there, or two, you can interact with it there, and that's where it gets cool. Where you get to step in the room. You get to walk around, it takes on a whole different vibe there. And then you walk that forward, of course, to the metaverses in the future as they're enabled for. That's fun. That's fun.
And then we're talking AR after that, VR, hop in your rare room with goggles on, and you can really walk around.
We are exploring these artifacts are powerful. The possibilities are endless. And we have all of these things at the front of our mind, not the back of our minds, at the front of our minds. It's a roadmap. And we talked the 3 value propositions, right? Art. Let's lead with that one, because period, end of story. It is a value proposition. It has always been valuable. If you are an appreciator of art, you should get digital art is art. Art first. Let's go. Then you have the utility and access. Exploring all 3 of those value propositions within one project is really, really exciting.
Yeah, at its heart, in its core, is the art, and I think it's in good hands with you, because that'll never be forgotten, and that'll always be our base layer, and that's like the base layer of what this initiative is. And I was fanboying watching and just tracking that day. I don't think I got anything done.
It was hard. It was fun on my side too. I feel the same way, because there were hours of just. I made the commitment to try to get back to everybody on social media, and it got away from me. I'm sitting there real time, and it was getting away from me.
I saw you put something out there. It was just like, I will respond to all of you.
Yeah.
Good luck.
real time. That was incredible.
Who is Dr. Helen Papagiannis?
An AR dynamo.
I got that follow over the weekend, and I was
dynamo.
How is she involved in this project?
So, okay. So Dr. Helen is, I could just call her Dr. Helen. I know.
I love that.
Yeah.
I took a stab at the last
Yeah.
name. I don't know if that was right or not.
AR Stories is at AR Stories. Now, she is one of our 5 logo contest winners.
Okay.
Right. So now so there were 5 logo contest winners that we took to New York with the trailer, and it was part of it. It's like you're not only going to win the 4 ETH per person to reimagine the logo and bring color to our worlds, and that's part of our initiative. I said earlier, there is a constraint to this project. The project, in my opinion, should not go on forever. Can't go on forever. It's unrealistic. 100 artists, right? That means people are left out. Period. End of story. We want this to be an inclusive project. We will find ways to include other artists constantly who want to be included. That was our first volley into that. 5 winners of artists who are not in the project at this point in time. And they had a chance, everyone had a chance to pitch a concept. We had fun on Clubhouse, talking about the concepts. We didn't require any free artwork to be created. That was very important to us, because we don't want you to spend hours and hours and hours on something and have no reward at the end. Pitch us, just pitch us, maybe show us some of your past work that relates to the concept you have in mind. And then we jammed and jammed and jammed. That was one of the hardest decisions that have been made in this entire project. We voted somewhat democratically as the internal team. And then bam, there were the 5 winners, and Dr. Helen was one of them. Absolute AR dynamo.
Hers is the one flipping around in real space.
Right.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay.
Yeah. And that is an AR file. There is an AR file there that's usable. You can at home, snap
look at it in your right.
Put your block, that hunk of an Artifex logo up on your ceiling, up on your wall, up in your backyard. It's a pretty sweet thing.
Where can people download that?
We have to do a better job of getting that out there. So we have all the picture packs that was actually up in New York City. You could walk up to a truck and you could snap a picture. You could snap a picture of the QR code and use the Adobe app to pop it up anywhere. That was a pretty special thing. So we're actually pulling some clearer pictures of that out of the New York madness, and we'll make sure that gets shared out in a better way. But it's available. I believe it's also in the rare room, the custom rare room that we set up. If it's not, we'll get it there. If it's not, we'll get it there. We want that.
I see it on Snapchat. Yeah, I want to be able.
We want that out there.
Everywhere. Yeah. So let's dive into the self-portraits for a minute. So I'm just looking at Fred's right now, and like Jason, it seems he went a bit of the feminine route as well on this one too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any insight into that, or why that was, or what the feeling was behind that?
We'll have time to. We'll have time. I want to leave much of that to the artist.
Fantastic.
Much of that to the artist. I believe. I mean, that should be his story. I told the Jason story because he specifically referred to it on his origin stories. And that's just me saying my point of view as to, wow, it's amazing that you said that on origin stories. And then you put forth a female figure in the way that you did. That's an incredible connection to me. That meant something to me. I want everyone to be able to say their own piece on why they went the route they went.
And with that being said, I could be completely wrong as well. That's my interpretation of viewing it. It seems like a feminine form, but I can't wait to hear from Fred and find out exactly what his thoughts are on creating that self-portrait.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. When I saw his name up there, who the hell is Frederick?
I know. What a world. What a world.
Like, oh, that looks like Fuckrender's work.
Oh, yeah.
That's, okay.
The Artifex project is ripping off Fuckrender. Yeah.
A couple of other ones that caught my eye. I love Too Much Lags. It screams like his whole fantasy vibe, but with himself in there. He actually put himself in it this time.
Yes.
And it looks just like Stefan.
Yes.
With a nice sword.
Yes. Floating in absolute glory and floating on Times Square, right? Floating on Times Square.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was cool.
Dude, I think one of the coolest parts was the Twitter reveals that you had. I thought that was awesome how you structured that to where it was just one after another, and then we're like, they're in it too. They're in it too.
We're like, what?
That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
That was brilliant. I think that was a perfect way to go about it.
We were toying with the idea of doing a couple a day, and then we just decided, with New York happening the way it was going to happen, we decided to take a day, start in the morning, and then roll it hour after hour after hour. And yeah, it's another one. I'm happy. I'm happy we went that route, and I'm very happy with the results of going that route, because it is a family. They belong on that day. They belong in that day to get together. That was a special, and that's what it is. That's the whole theme of that wave of the project is that. It's that vibe. And the fact that they are all together doing this thing. They've been doing this thing for a week. I mean, this project was just started. They've been doing this thing for a long time, all the respect in the world, but just giving them they've had many moments, giving them another moment all together on one day. Fun, straight up fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I think fun is a good way to kind of encapsulate it too. Like this is going to be fun throughout. I guess what's next steps for you? Like what's next in your mind? Like, I'm sure you got a checklist and it's probably like never ending, but
execution. This is a big responsibility. It's a big responsibility. Yeah. And there are no guarantees in life. There are no guarantees in this space. It's a big responsibility. It's a lot of people showed a lot of faith in the concept, in the project, and we have a team and everyone's jamming. And the artists are jamming too, and execute day over day. So it's bringing all those pieces together. You know, we have, so artifex.art is the website. We'll see that brought to life step by step. People will be able to purchase editions directly from the website. We are integrating to OpenSea, right? We are using OpenSea as a backend. You do not need to go to OpenSea. You could do everything through the site. But for those who are savvier and those who are aware of OpenSea and how to transact, you don't have to interact with the site. So you kind of have two options to interact with. But that is the overall structure. We have a clean front end UX. We put a lot of work into that. Shout out to Studio 123 Full Design Studio that we brought on. Not speaking of project partners and the team, big shout outs and big love there. We put a lot of love in there. We believe this UX is really tight. It is really tight and it's really going to shine. Let's get to showtime.
Yep. Yeah. And another part of it too, it's kind of like we talked to, and obviously you too, like the sense of like collaboration for these teams, like with your group that's executing, like that rings true for everyone. And everyone has their own little clique. Like I just think of like Mike Slime with Playboy and them talking about how their collaboration came to be and how they're learning and how they're adapting and how quickly it turns around. And you're always on your toes and you're always looking around the corner and you need people supporting you. And that just kind of rings true for everyone, whoever's taking on an initiative. Right. So I think that's kind of the sneaky, most valuable thing that'll come out of it is like that sense of, community and people that want to help pull the rope. And this is just another example of it. And this is going to be kind of a nice front facing way to see it. So love to hear it.
It's okay.
Oh, I was just going to ask how you are gauging the results of like the New York City blast, right? So like, what are you using as a metrics to say like this was successful?
They're looser metrics. We wanted the first, not the people. What's funny? Dirk just posted, and I retweeted this. That's Dirk at work. He posted, yeah, people might think, wow, great climax for the Artifex project. No, just the warm up, folks.
Yeah,
they're in the bullpen right now,
and that's our mindset. That's our mindset. New York may have seemed like, oh, okay, grand flash or whatever. This is the story. This is the biggest story that I have ever tried to tell. It's the most important story that I am now trying to tell. And it's a collaborative effort and we're just getting started. We are just getting started. This is not even the first inning. We've lined up for the national anthem. And some pump up music is playing on the outfield, the outfield bright lights board. But that first pitch of this, now I'm going all in on the baseball analogy. That first pitch has not been thrown.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's everyone's in the bullpen.
Yeah,
we're running on baseball analogies right now after talking to Micah yesterday. So
nice. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a guest.
Yes, this little guy is just whining at the door. So
might as well bring him in.
Yep. I'll be quieter in here, apparently. We got to get a real studio at some point.
Hey, hey, how long did I roll with this wall behind me? Either blank or, with things propped up. So finally doing it right around here.
There you go.
Takes time. Yeah.
It does.
I thought to myself months ago, overnight, just spruce it up overnight. No. And then some time passes and eventually it gets done.
That's how it goes though, a little bit at a time. Right. And that's what this project will be, to a trickle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we have the structure set for the beginning stages of the project. And as I mentioned earlier, we're not gonna rush things. We're not gonna overwhelm the market at large and all the people who make it up. That's not the plan. Well, let's let this thing breathe. Let's tell this story right.
Every release is an event.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like, here's the next artist out of the 100. Like,
here
it comes, and we're going to talk about it that entire week or whatever.
We're going to talk about the entire story. Week.
Right.
Exactly. Talk about the artists.
Yeah.
And tell those stories. The fun thing, let's just look at the first wave is so pressing. We now have a lot more spoilers in the teaser, right? I think it's pretty clear who else is coming, but we did focus in terms of the official announcements. We focused on the first 10. And so just because they are first up, staying with that theme, so many of those artists have been on Origin Stories, and now being able to really dig in there and highlight aspects of their stories, asking the questions that you guys asked about the art, talking about the specific original artworks, giving some insight into that. That's going to be fun too. It's another fun aspect. Why was the artwork chosen? And just keeping on now, digging into those details. I'm happy we were able to talk more about those details here together today. And we'll just keep beating that details drum. Now the wrapping paper is off. All the frustration can now go, all those questions, right? now we are leading with it. We are answering the bell there, and just keep getting into the weeds and just going conversation by conversation by conversation.
Yeah, now that the wrapping paper is off, now people can start asking the more pointed questions.
Exactly.
Diving in and picking it apart and trying to figure out, like, oh, what are the next steps of this? Or what are the next themes that are coming out and stuff like that. So I think it'll keep the intrigue alive for the entire length of this project, right? They don't need to know everything that's going to be happening. We don't need to know everything that's happening, because it's fun to be surprised, right? It's great to know the first 10 that are coming out, the family. There's probably no hard dates on the first release yet, right?
Week of 17th.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. There we go. That's fast.
That's coming.
It's coming. In a week and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the best part is you're taking your time to where it's like, it's the opposite of what's been going on. It's like, okay, you can look at a drop that's going to be available for 5 minutes on an open edition, or an hour for, silent auction, 24s for an auction, whatever it might be. There's no cap to, how long we could talk about it. Right. And it's driven by us and you and your group. And I think that's the most important thing, especially with this space, because there's so much behind it that needs to be known. And this is exactly the vessel that's going to do it. So.
And there's a fine line in this project. I've personally, we could talk about markets, we could talk about scarcity all day long, right? The line within this project is, what's the best way to represent an artist? And there are two aspects to that. On one side of it, we think about scarcity and not flooding and all of those things. On the other side of it, you want some people to have access to what we believe is a historical project of an artist. So you want more than one people to be able to possess something that represents the history of that artist. But it's important for people to know this. It's like, we're representing 100 artists, and there's no backsies. There's no double back. There's no, we're going to release V2 of now 250 editions of the red shaded, this.
Right.
No, it's important to people know. We're walking that line where we believe, okay, so you have the original artwork that is a one of one, and then you have the Artifexes, 67 of which go to primary market. And there's 100 total, 67 go to the primary market. Bank on it, no backsies.
Yeah.
That's the line we're walking. We do want a number of collectors to be able to possess the artifacts, and we do want someone who obviously is very interested in the original artwork to be able to win that original artwork as well. That's what we want. That's the line that we are walking. That was the decision that we made as to how to make history and both allow people to have something while not having too much of that going on.
I can't wait to collect all the ones of my favorite artists and have, 20 to 30 different artifacts in my rare room.
This is exactly what is needed. I think this is a necessity. This space needed something like this. And I'm truly stoked for you to be delivering it and your team. So
it plants and puts those artists on a certain generational pedestal that all of their art before this is concrete now, of like, this is an artist that is part of this overall larger project. And I think it boosts up all their previous work as well. Mm-hmm. It's like, these artists matter to this group of people, this community, whoever's built this entire project, right? Which is a lot of people, like we said. And we all agree that these people are worth it. They have a story to tell and they're valuable to us. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a story that can't be told enough, and we can't wait to see where it all goes.
Man, I agree. I can't wait to see where it all goes too. we have so many concrete plans, but as we just talked about, things happen the way they happen. New York City happened the way it happened. It exceeded expectations. We're just keep putting best foot forward, and if wherever it falls, but just keep putting best foot forward. And you guys mentioned something, the space needing something like this. I mean, that's the nicest words that you could have ever said, because what you guys are doing, even you guys putting your voices out there, why'd you do that? Probably because you felt like there was a space for it. Probably because you felt like you had something to say. And that's what I've been saying for a bit now. And so when this idea was hatched, why was it hatched? Felt like a story needed to be told. Mm-hmm. Why was it walked forward in this manner? Because I felt like there were some things that needed to be done this way. And it's a personal mission that then becomes a team mission, that then becomes in some ways an artist mission as well. It's a special thing. I do not take that lightly. I do not take that lightly. And I am here. This is the opposite of a cash grab. It's literally the opposite of a cash grab. Yeah. And this is a legacy piece. This is what it is. It's a legacy on behalf of 100 legacies, on behalf of an entire space worth of legacies, on behalf of pushing that entire space worth of legacies out into the broader whatever world, right, universe. Yeah, it's fun.
I think the most important thing too is that so many people trust you, and I'm assuming that trickle down to your team. You're going to have instances like where you're going to have to, make a last minute decision on, like taking down the people that were supposed to be up. But like, as long as people have that trust in you and know where those decisions are coming from, even as simply as asking the right people the right questions, right? Like, I think everyone feels this project's in safe hands and probably wouldn't want anyone else doing it. So, perfect, bro. This is great. This is like I said, exactly what the space needed. So thank you group for delivering and with such a bang to start.
Thank you guys. I'm glad we could be here. I'm glad we could jam. I'm glad you guys could ask questions. I mean, that's the biggest thing, right? I want to have these conversations, and we're
two bozo collectors. I mean, we'll figure it out.
By the way, community coming. Discord is ready.
Let's go.
All right. Well, we've already signed up.
Yeah. It's go time, guys. Yep. It is now go time. So that's coming too. And that's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. More fun on the way, more just engagement. Like, let's just have a good time. That's
what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot, recently, we can close on this, but recently in this space, there's been a lot of, I don't know, call it confusion. I feel personally, it's a lot of confusion. Like, what's real, what's not, what's going on over here, what's going on over there. It just feels a little like it's loud. Maybe that's a better way to put it. It's just a little bit loud. And it's exciting to be able to tell a clear story. Just
exactly. I mean, I think that's the point of this, is like, there is a velocity to it, but at the same time, it slows us down to take a look deeper at the story that's happening every week. Oh. And that's what it's all about. It's combining the velocity and speed of this space with stretching that out to really understand what we're looking at here, and not just like, oh, me bits are here and they're gone, and that's it. You know, so that's what I enjoy about the space, is the storytelling, the context. That's what matters to me. The other things are cool if you like collectibles and stuff like that, but I mean, there's not a whole lot of story to be told, or at least I have not heard the story. No one has told that story to me. So thanks for telling your story.
Absolutely. And thank you for being a part of it. You guys are a part of it too. You're trapped now. You can't go anywhere.
Love it. I'm planning on it.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. You can lock us in the closet. That's probably fine.
Probably get better sound out of the closet, to be honest.
Thank you guys. Glad we were able to do this. Glad we were able to break out some of those details here, and now we can keep plowing down that path. Let's do this again quite soon. We'll have more opportunities along the road, and I can't wait to even though there's a lot of clarity here, and that's what it's all about, there's going to be a few surprises too along the way.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like relief for you, but I can hear it in your voice. There's a pre New York and a post New York RD. So I think people will your voice will echo, and people will notice, and you know, it's true and genuine, and I think that's all you can try to deliver. So keep doing anything, man.
Let's go, guys. Let's go.
And it's those mods invites.
Yep.
All right, gentlemen. I'll talk to you very soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Raj. Congrats,
Thanks.
dude.